To be honest with you, even if he's a little bit late, that's perfectly fine. Oh, just had my mic off, so we're gonna start that off again. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I just saw that. So, ladies and gentlemen, happy Saturday, everybody. It is May 28th and Sunday evening. And ladies and gentlemen, you know exactly what that means. Welcome back to GT Champions, as we are here for the High Prix Porsche Cup presented by RWB Racing and presented by High Prix. Hope you guys are very, very excited as we are here for Division 2 round 3 at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course. I am your commentator, Just Gaming Real, also known as Justin, whichever one you fellas back at home can prefer. And also we'll have RWB Cupcake, who will be here shortly, taking a little bit of time as he is in traffic, but hopefully he gets here quick, but most importantly, I hope he gets here safe. But ladies and gentlemen, we are here for round 3 here at Daytona. Very, very excited. A very well-known course for all of the drivers on the field. Wouldn't be surprised if any of them have been there in real life. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a tough one for these drivers. These Porsche cars, they're very heavy on the rear end, as we did see at Laguna Seca last week for Division 1. And a little bit of an oval race course, so I think this is where this is a track that the Porsche can really shine, as those top end speeds are really going to help them out, especially around the ovals. They're really going to be losing quite a bit of time compared to other cars in the sector 1 and 2, in that tight corners on the inside of the oval as well. Of course, at the end of the first oval turn, you meet up with a bust-up chicane, where then you make your way out onto the second oval and cross the finish line. Of course, very excited to be here as always, ladies and gentlemen, and we're gonna be here for a good one, of course. And I have the wrong info there, so give me a quick second, guys, just so you can get all the info up and correctly. There we are. So here for Division 2, the standings after round 2, we actually see Presidio leading the way with Joey Cannoli in second. Then we have Colin in third with Venom in fourth, Carbon Boy in fifth with Badass in sixth. Then we have J-Rod in seventh. And there's the rest of the grid, ladies and gentlemen, all of them doing an exceptional job. And at the back is going to be ART Wooly, still looking to get in some points. We're going to be watching out for Presidio here today, as if you guys do remember, in the Porsche qualifying, got unfortunate with a little bit of spins where we were at, and finished in P6 at the end of that race, and was just very excited to be back out there on the track. Very excited to have him out there, of course, representing RWB. And if you guys didn't know, here at the GT Champions Porsche Cup, we are represented by RWB Racing, and we are sponsored by High Pre. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get all of the information and stats about the Porsche Cup and all of the other leagues that we have and have had over the months, please make your way down to gtchampions.com for all of the info and statistics of the Porsche Cup and more. You can also find High Pre both on Instagram and Twitter at HY_PRIX. And make sure that you follow the pages, get the notification bell on, so you're notified all of the updates from High Pre. An outstanding team, very happy to be part of, and very excited to be here as well, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see after Laguna Seca what the results were actually, and it varies a little bit actually. So Joey Cannoli actually took the race win at Laguna Seca, with Presidio finishing in second, and J-Rod actually coming up with the podium positions, and it was Colin in fourth who actually brought home the fastest lap, bringing in the extra point for Colin, so did an exceptional job there. But now in a little bit we're going to go out there on the track and see what these drivers are doing, and seeing how they are doing, as qualifying has already started. 20 minutes left of qualifying, and honestly, with this course as well, the Daytona International Speedway makes it very interesting for these cars. As I did say, over the ovals, I believe no one's going to have any sort of hassles and struggles as they make their way around the ovals, but it's also going to be in Sector 1 and 2 in those tough first few corners before they reach those ovals, and especially as well at that bust-up chicane, where we can really see the Porsche start to struggle But of course, all of these drivers have done their homework, and they are continuing to increase their practice as they are currently doing qualifying, and they've done their practice all throughout the week before this race as well. But let's talking about what's it called, the standings. Let's talking about the cars. Let's actually go out there on the track and let's see how these drivers are doing as well. So here today so far, we actually have Presidio, Joey Cannoli, Venom, Colin, Carbon Boy, Badass, J-Rod, Chevy, as well as G-Man, Green, Tatted Freak, Igorski, Imhotep, Robo Sport, ART Wooly, and Average Viper as well. Average Viper, I'm going to be looking out for him as he is one of the members of High Pre. I'm also going to be looking out for all of the members of RWB. We actually have quite a bit of RWBs here in Division 2, and I actually know a lot of them as well from the World Cup series actually that we had here at GT Champions last season actually. And I was doing the commentary for GTC 3, and that's where we saw the amazing end battle with Wooly. We also saw Venom in that battle, as well as J-Rod bringing it home and taking the trophy, taking the championship, J-Rod, for Division 3. And honestly, did an amazing job as the race ended at... Where did the race end? The race ended at the Le Mans 24-hour track in the RS01 Renault. And if you guys do want to cue in onto that, please make your way down to GT Champions on YouTube and on Facebook to watch the replays of all of that as it unfolds. But of course, now let's actually go out there on the track and see how these drivers are doing. And I can actually already look. So Badass actually currently has the fastest lap and on provisional pole, as these drivers also test out not only the fuel consumption of these cars, not only the tire compounds, the tire wear, as we currently see Badass make his way into the pit lane. But so far Badass does have the fastest lap at 145.681, and close in second Carbon Boy with a 146.381. So only separated by a second, around, actually not a second, that's around, oh, and actually as I say that, Carbon Boy actually improves it to a 146.180 as he takes a really wide line down towards turn 1 and 2. And actually as we follow Carbon Boy, let's actually get a brief description of the track. So we are coming around towards turn 4 now, which is this tight right-hander hairpin. As you make your way around here at night, those headlights are going to be bright as anything. Same goes with the spotlights on the track, on the oval around it, and we could be seeing some planes landing as well. So these drivers really trying to give it their all. And ladies and gentlemen, making it back home safely, we actually have my man Cody. Cupcake, how you doing, my man?
Oh my goodness, I'd have been here earlier, but you know, I heard we were streaming the Division 2 race, and
yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is Daytona at night, right?
This is Daytona at night here at the Daytona International Speedway for Division 2 Round 3 so far of the GT Champions High Pre Porsche Cup. Cody, I am so excited that you made it back home, and I have my co-commentator, ladies and gentlemen. Love to hear it. And Cody, how was the drive? I heard it was pretty hectic.
Oh my gosh, it was hectic. But let me tell you the reason why I was late here, because I heard this was a night race and it was D2, and I had to do some research. Because a lot of these drivers tonight are going to be stalking their prey. You know, kind of like a predator at night. So I said, what better way to research and read up on it than to go to the zoo? So that is exactly where I came from. I tried to make it here as fast as I could. Half of the icing slid off of my cupcake in the process. So I'm a little bit loony. I apologize in advance.
No worries. Just do the classic. Put on some maple syrup and you'll be fine. But honestly, honestly, so far we're actually seeing quite a few drivers actually struggle out here on the track. We actually just saw Presidio have himself a little bit of an incident on the track coming around towards Sector 3, where he makes his way around the oval. And you gotta say, actually, here, Cody, here at the Daytona Speedway, hosting different types of motorsports, of course the main one being NASCAR, and also the trucking series of NASCAR. We've also seen IndyCar here, and now we have the Porsche Cup for High Prix and GT champions. Honestly, a huge spectrum of motorsports, and I think these drivers are going to be utilizing all of their memory, all of their notes, as we are in the comms box as well, going to be using a lot of our notes, and just trying to get the best laps that they potentially can. And honestly, I think they might struggle around sectors 1 and 2, but all over the track on those ovals, that's really going to show their pace and how powerful these Porsche 911s can really be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, the major spot, I think everybody knows it, is going to be turn 1. You know, we thought Laguna Seca was bad last week. This track, I believe, is going to be worse when it comes to the very start of the race. Everybody too wide into that deep, kind of sweeping left-hand turn going into turn 1.
I think this track just has a lot of like tight problems on the track. So you have turn 1 in sector 1. You also have where we actually are on Colin right now, this bust up chicane, where if you mistime the braking zone just a little bit too late, you're gonna go on that grass or the curbs, either get yourself a time penalty for corner cutting, or you're gonna be spinning around and becoming a lawnmower for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the last thing anybody wants to do.
So, I think the only way that we would actually see them is if we actually find someone in a Black & Decker livery. But so far, everyone out here representing their home teams, representing both High Prix, both GT champions, as well as RWB Racing. And actually, fun fact for you, actually, Cody, we actually have about more than half of the grid who is actually part of RWB. We have Presidio, we have Joey Cannoli, Venom, J-Rod, Chevy, also Colin, T24 as well. We have a Gorski, a lot of representatives from RWB, and at a home Grand well, not a home Grand Prix, but a home track of Daytona International Speedway, you know that they're all gonna give it everything that they potentially can to represent America well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, like you were saying, this is, you know, quote unquote our home track, so we're pulling out all the guns here. But that's not to say it's going to be an easy race, because we got the likes of not only, you know, Colin, which I believe he was Division 2 in the World Cup last season, but I mean, you also got Art Woolley, you got Average Viper, part of High Prix.
Yeah, my man right there.
Robbo is a force to be reckoned with.
Well, there's actually a lot of people. Of course, for me personally, I know this. RWB J-Rod, who is actually GTC 3 World Cup champion, actually, bringing home the crucial points at the end, back at the Le Mans 24-hour circuit, actually. But looking at this track, actually, I'm looking at the regulations as well. So we have 2 times the tire wear, no requirements at all for tires, but also 2 times the fuel consumption. And of course, with the qualifying rules, all of the drivers can use whatever tire or strategy they want to set their fastest time in practice, and that will set the grid as well. If you want to know all of the information about the Porsche Cup and more, please go down to gtchampions.com and you'll be seeing all of this graphics made by High Prix, who is sponsoring the Porsche Cup as well. But one person I'm actually going to be keeping an eye on as well here, Cody, is actually going to be Colin, currently setting a purple sector 1 by around 2/10 off of Badass. So I think this could be a very good lap here from Colin as he makes his way. But what would you say? Of course, we actually have the top end speeds of these cars, where they're going to be reaching around 300 kilometers per hour, almost the same speed as the NASCARs, but in a little bit of a not really a stock car, would you say?
Right. And let's see here. It's like I said, it's gonna be exciting. I just can't wait. I'm gonna have to do something here because I just realized I can only see 9 racers.
You can only see 9 racers.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have a little bit of technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll be right back in a little bit. But we're going to stay on board with Colin as he is making his way towards the timing line. Purple sector 1, 2, and 3. Let's see if he's going to top the timing charts as he crosses the line. He misses out barely by 3 tenths. But with an amazing 145.750, and here at an American circuit, it is actually the Canadian of Badass on pole position with a 145.431, and you gotta say, you gotta love that that High Priest slash Apex livery on that Porsche, and all of these drivers actually having creative freedom, of course, with some regulations, and honestly, he did an exceptional job in my opinion.
Wow, yeah, that is a blistering fast lap.
But this is the thing as well with these cars, with these ovals, that's actually going to help out the Porsches a lot more than what you would actually think, because with it actually being a little bit of a slanted elevation on those ovals, it's actually going to help out with multiple things. It's going to help out with keeping momentum into these corners. They're going to help out as well with the tire wear on the track. And honestly, love to see every one of them putting in the effort, putting in the practice, putting in those minutes after the week of Laguna Seca. And honestly, couldn't be more proud. But also here, ladies and gentlemen, we are live streaming from both GT Champions on YouTube and Facebook, but we're also, I want to welcome everyone from the 12 Ounce Sports Network as well, as we are be streaming from their platform. So thank you guys so much for having GT Champions. Honestly, very good to have every single one of you guys. Same goes with everyone around the world watching back at home. Again, if you guys want to follow up on us and communicate with us commentators, please go to Twitter and use hashtag GT Champions just to get some more information. I'll be watching over those, but also again, visit gtchampions.com for all of the stats and info of GT Champions, as well as the Porsche Cup and past leagues that we have had in the past, like the World Cup which was the predecessor. We also have High Pre, and please follow them both on Twitter and Instagram at HY_PRIX to get all of the information of High Pre. We do an amazing job. Pixteca does an amazing job, and that's how we get the graphics. So a big shout out to them, and also a big shout out for RWB for helping GT Champions be where we are here today. But as we have a few minutes left of qualifying, I believe we actually have 7 minutes left of qualifying. So only a few more laps for these drivers to set the best time that they can. Still is going to be Badass currently in pole position with Colin lining on the front row. Then it's going to be Tata Freak and Joey Cannoli for the time being. And then of course we have Carbon Boy Presidio in that third row with Green and Wooly currently in P in that fourth row. Both of those drivers actually coming from the GTC 3 World Cup. We also have Venom, Robo Sport, which was a big shout out from Cody here in the Cosbox. We also have Viper, G-Man, Chevy, and J-Rod, who is still struggling to match up the pace. But honestly, you gotta say, this track here at night, you gotta love the scenery as well. And you can actually hear some of the planes actually come down on the runway, and that could be giving some of these drivers a little bit of interference with a little bit of the wind coming from those planes. Would you say, Cody?
Oh yeah, and just the whole aesthetic behind the track is just amazing. It is amazing, and I'm hoping to see the sun start to come up towards the end of the race, because let me tell you, that is a sight to behold.
Well, and if it ever does.
I'm on board with the Robo, and I think that's where the sun comes up at, and it just causes like half the track to light up to where you really can't see where you're going.
Exactly, it's going to be a huge glare for all of these drivers coming to the end if it does come out. But honestly, we actually have all of the lights on. We're running all of the generators in the background so we can have this event up and running for you beautiful people back at home. But we're actually going to go on board with, we're going to say, who should we go on board with actually? We're going to go on board with Green and go into passenger camera to see what these drivers are actually currently facing as they're out there on the track. So you can see coming into sector 2 now at this tough hairpin, very tough to actually get that front end down and get those that aerodynamic package to carry that that car through the corners. And honestly, it's going to be difficult for Green and all of these drivers out here, especially on the lower fuel load, as the gas tank is actually on the front end of the car. So you actually kind of want a little bit more fuel in the car to carry that front end and use the traction as much as possible. If not, it's going to be the same situation as Laguna Seca, where you're going to be having that huge understeer and mess up those set of rubbers. But so for all of these drivers fighting against the elements, as you can see right now, Green making his way through the bust-up chicane, trying to fight against it, and honestly doing an exceptional job. Currently down by 12 seconds, so he looks like he's going to be going out for another lap here. We're now going to go back up to the front with badass current pole sitter in the Canadian driver doing an exceptional job out there. And Cody, I believe you still, I'm looking at it, you still have those technical difficulties. Of course, Gran Turismo actually had an update recently, but they didn't try and fix the lobbies whatsoever, so I think it's going to take a little bit more time, and hopefully they fix it as perfect as possible, so it makes it a better viewing experience for all of you people back at home.
Yeah, and I mean, currently, right now, with the technical difficulties, it went from only seeing 7 people to now seeing 3.
Oh no. So it looks like you might have to queue into the stream and we'll get a reaction from you, I would believe. But actually, we are seeing quite a bit of planes coming down here, so this could be giving some of these drivers a tough break with the wind. And I believe if Colin is correct, he's using the wipers on the car. I believe the rain could be coming in here tonight, and that would be a huge change for the race. I remember that we actually got the weather report, actually the weather forecast, and I'm not too sure if it's raining here today or not.
Yeah, I am not too sure either. I know, looked like we had a newscast by our own Presidio dog, kind of, you know, telling people what the weather may be like, but I don't like watching them. It's nothing against Presidio, but I like the element of surprise.
That is fair. That is fair. But actually, one thing that that he actually does on the newsroom, in the beginning of the season a few weeks ago, we actually had a exclusive interview both with Presidio as well as the high leader of Pixteca, and I gotta say, Pixteca and Presidio, gotta say, very handsome people. Definitely caught me blushing in the background. But honestly, if you guys did want to queue onto that, please make your way down to the GT Champions YouTube, where it's called the GT Champions Newsroom, where every week you'll be getting a video about the forecast, about the next race, the standings, all of the good sort. And it looks like we actually have a car spun off the track, and it's going to be badass, actually, as he's getting himself a little bit of a front row seat coming down towards turn 5. And not really a spot where we will be seeing a lot of cars spinning around. I also see another car, actually, who has spun around, and that's going to be G-Man currently out there on the track. And not too oh, how many people are out on the track, Cupcake? Yeah, I believe, yeah, everyone is currently out on the track, I do believe. Yeah, everybody's out on the track, all 14.
Okay.
Oh, and it looks like we actually have a bit of a build-up here of cars coming down towards turn 1. Tatted Freak, we also have J-Rod as well as Robo Sport, who's going to be giving each other a little bit of a tester for them all as they now come around the hairpin. Tatted Freak just has a way better line compared to J-Rod. J-Rod could be impeding on his lap, but Tatted Freak moves around the outside with a beautiful overtake, up currently on his lap by around a tenth. This could be making himself in the second row, well, sorry, not the second row, the first row, as ART Wooly has actually just crossed the line, and he is now up into P3, representing the Britons back at home. Love to see that. Currently around 11 o'clock at night for ART Wooly, so very, very happy that he could attend. But look at this track, man. Got to love to see it. Open fields, open lights, big ovals around the circuit. What else could you ask for? Top end speeds as well. Love to see it in motorsports. But one thing I am seeing right now is actually Tatted Freak currently is up. And I just received word qualifying is over, ladies and gentlemen. The qualifying is over. And now that makes the rundown. Badass finishes on pole position with a staggering 145.3431, sorry, representing the Canadians as he lines up on the front row, with Colin T24, who crossed the line with a 145.750. So very, very close times on that front row. Then we have ART Wooly finishing off on the third row with a 145.882. And then close behind him is going to be Tatted Freak, who had to impede the lap as qualifying is over with a 145.913. Carbon Boy, the quickest in the 146s with a 146.019. Then comes Joey Cannoli lining up on that third row. They are Presidio and Green on that fourth row. Then Venom and Robo Sport starting in the top 10. In the bottom four, we have Viper, G-Man, Chevy, as well as J-Rod, who really couldn't find the grips here today, only clocking in at best a 147.745. But ladies and gentlemen, again, very, very excited to be here tonight here at the Daytona International Speedway. If you guys are just queuing in, welcome to the GT Champions High Prix Porsche Cup, as we're here for Division 2, Round 3 at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course. Commentators, myself, Justin Silva, also known as Just Gaming, as well. In the comments box with me, we have Cody, also known as RWB Cupcake. Very glad to have him in here as well.
Yep, and I am so happy to be here. Still trying to work out the technical bugs. I'm hoping I can see all 14 racers here by the time the race starts.
Well, hopefully we'll be getting all of the technical difficulties fixed, as all of the drivers are lined up in that second sector around turn 5, 6, 7, and 8, right before the oval, the long left-hander coming into sector 4. But honestly, as the plane lands on the background, the timer will land and it will start up back again. 1 hour endurance race for the Porsche Cup. Let's see who will be the one to come out on top. Presidio currently leading the championship, as I'm gonna get that back up for you guys as well. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, the race results, where we saw Joey Cannoli, Presidio, as well as J-Rod finish on the top row. But for the standings here, ladies and gentlemen, we currently have Presidio leading the way with 30 points, Joey Cannoli in second with 28. Tied for third is actually both Colin and Venom with 27, so very close coming into round 3. We also then have Carbon Boy in fifth with Badass in sixth, J-Rod, G-Man, Chevy and Green finishes up the top 10 with Tatted Freak, Imhotep, Igorski, Robo Sport, and Wooly finishing up the rear. But as the drivers go back into the pit lane to set their tires, this is underway. We're going to be right back in a little bit, but honestly, ladies and gentlemen, very, very excited for the race start. But so far, what's it called? So far, Cody, as of course you were here a little bit late due to a little bit of traffic, but the time that you were here, you saw those times for the cars and for the drivers. It's going to be a close one. I actually don't even know who's going to be the one to truly come out on top. It's going to be a tough one for all of these drivers, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's going to be whew. I don't think it's going to be as intricate as Luna Seca, because obviously you're going to have to be quick, especially what we got here. Sector 1, 2. I'd say sector 3 all the way to the finish line. You got to make sure you get those good exits, especially if you want to pass someone. But I think GT7's starting to work out the kinks here, because I now see 11 cars. Hey,
love to see it.
We're getting there.
Almost there. But honestly, look at the scenery that we have here tonight. Honestly, beautiful here at the Daytona International Speedway. Here at nighttime, if only the cars actually had headlights, the NASCARs, I think it would be a very, very good addition. But I've actually seen night races with the trucking series actually, but we haven't really seen that much with the actual NASCAR stock car racing, have we?
No, not really. And you know, it blows my mind that NASCAR won't use this layout, because this layout in Daytona is also used for the 24 Hours of Daytona through the WeatherTech series and the IMSA, normally held, I believe, around January, February. And they consider that event one of the Triple Crowns of racing, which consists of the 24-hour Le Mans, this track, 24 Hours of Daytona, and the Indy 500. So why NASCAR won't run this kind of layout just blows my mind.
But of course, I believe the reason for that is that they stick to their roots, of course. Here at the Daytona 500 actually, where we actually saw champions and champions be crowned. One of my favorite drivers, currently retired in NASCAR, Jeff Gordon, was one of my favorite drivers. Him, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., as well as Mark Martin, all for their team. Just what was one of my favorite drivers. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr., where we actually saw Dale Earnhardt Sr. fatally crash due to a neck injury after a collision in NASCAR. Rest in peace, my friend. Honestly, you gotta commend Dale Earnhardt Jr. to continue to go out on that track after all of that has happened as well.
Oh yeah.
Very historic moments with Daytona and as well as NASCAR.
Yeah.
But what would you say is your opinion on the track, actually?
I love this track. I love the whole layout behind it. It's one of those weird tracks. It goes from being really wide, you can go around 2-3 wide, kind of like NASCAR, and then once you get past the start-finish line, it narrows, and I mean it just narrows down to where you're lucky if you can get too wide or try to make a pass. So in my opinion, honestly, if I wasn't commentating, I'd be racing. I'd be all over this.
Honestly, well, hopefully we'll see you in the in NASCAR very soon then.
Yeah.
Even if it's not real NASCAR, probably e-NASCAR. But I just received word, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh,
here we go. All of the drivers are ready and set for the race start. Just seconds underway for the big red lights, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, a little bit of a hiccup there for me, but we see the drivers lined up on the grid. Badass and Colin finishes off that front row with ART, Willie, and Tadafreak in the second row. Then we have Carmen Boy and Joey Canoli in 6th, Presidio Dog in 7th, Green in 8th, Venom in 9th, Robbo, Viper, G-Man, Chevy, and J-Rod in the back. And there's the red lights, and away we are for the start of the Porsche Cup here at GT Champions at the Daytona International Speedway. Badass with an amazing start. ART Wooly as well, as Colin has been held off around the outside. Carbon Boy with a beautiful dive bomb on the inside there as well. And there's a car going completely spinning off the grid. And that's going to be green. Very unfortunate there, but was able to make his way back up. We also have Venom, who has had an incident. A few drivers.
Colin in the grass. Bravo with a 4-second penalty. I have a feeling they might be red flag in this race.
I'm not too sure. They're still going at it, but you gotta say, very unfortunate there from Colin. Got caught off guard at the beginning of turn 1, then coming at the end of turn 4 and 5, where we now also see Viper as well as Presidio have themselves a good battle. Presidio very excited to partake in the Porsche Cup. Was in his words stuck in the commentator's box for World Cup and just wanted to go back out there again. Very happy to see him here in Div 2. But look at the lead of Badass here, currently leading the race by over a second and a half, coming into Sector 4, down the straight towards the bust-up chicane. And you gotta say, a very commendable start for Badass and trying to hold on to that lead as much as he can.
Whew. Yeah, this right here is some tight racing.
Oh, one thing I am seeing, look at Presidio. He had the faster exit around the corner. Him and Average Viper almost touching, coming down the oval. Viper struggling to hold the line. Presidio keeping that wheel nice and straight, nice and clean, as he now slots right behind Carbon Boy, coming down towards the finish line. Average
Viper to the inside.
Can he hold on to it? Carbon Boy then closes the door, and Presidio is actually back down to P6 with Chevy right on the tail.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, at the end of lap 1, look at all of those cars make their way around turn 4. A beautiful sight to see as these drivers fight against the elements. But one person that's finding it the best is going to be the race leader so far at Badass. Now at the end of lap 1, leads the way by over 2 seconds. Oh, I'm hearing a spin!
Someone's spinning. Carbon Boy goes into the grass.
Mistimed the braking zone there from Carbon Boy as he goes into the wall. J-Rod now up to P9, and Green actually with a good recovery after turn 1 up to the top 10. I think he got bumped in the rear. A little bit of contact between him and Venom. And Green now looking on the inside of J-Rod. On the inside line, J-Rod stuck on the outside. Is he going to slot in behind? Yes, he will. Closes the door on Venom. But it doesn't look like Venom's going to be having any of it, as he's going to be following right behind Green. They could be going side to side here at the bust-up chicane as they close the gap. Who's going to come out on top? And it's going to be J-Rod for the time being. Or now, should I say that, Venom with the beautiful switchback now moves up into the top 10. Amazing stuff there from Venom, representing RWB very well. Cody, you know that you're going to be happy about that one.
Oh yeah, I am excited. Because I mean, I'm taking a look here. We still got a battle for 4th place going on between Viper and Presidio. Viper doing a really good job trying to defend his position. But now it's just turned into 3 RWB guys against Viper with High Pre. So can Viper hold off the RWB drivers and keep that 4th position?
Well, you know who I'm going to represent. I know who you're going to represent. And now we need to see who's going to be the one to come out on top. And so far, Viper's going to be leading 4th place by a few seconds, but mistimes the braking zone a little bit for Presidio, as he is now going to be falling behind. Lost around 2/10 into turn 6. And this is what you got to see. Like, we're currently on the cockpit view of Presidio as he takes a super wide line, almost kissing the wall on the exit, as he now loses a few more tenths to Viper. But of course, it doesn't matter if you start at the beginning or start in the middle. You need to see how high you can come, as it is not a sprint race here, ladies and gentlemen. here at the Daytona International Speedway. It's a 1 hour endurance race. You would probably call it a marathon in a ways, where you don't want to get yourself in any sort of hectic conditions. You want to look for the long-term situation of the race as well, as Presidio with a beautiful line through that bus-stop chicane as he holds on to 5th place, sorry, still. But you gotta say here, Cody, coming at the end of lap 4, who would you say has impressed you the most?
It's gotta be Badass. He had one heck of a race start in the very beginning, and he has just been steadily keeping that 2.5, 3 second gap between himself and Wooly. As far as like anyone else, I would have to say, and I'm not saying this because he's part of the team, is Presidio Dog. Started, kind of towards the back, has worked his way up into 5th, and is trying to challenge Viper for that 4th position.
Well, a lot of the RWBs representing their team very well. Average Viper representing us at High Pre very well. And a little bit of a segue from that, as Viper actually has a little bit of a wide corner. That's going to give Presidio an opportunity to close in a lot of the gap there. Gained around 2/10 into that corner, and you can actually see some big names here at GT Champions.
Presidio trying to go into the inside, gets 4th position. They're going to be drag racing down to the bus stop.
And now let's see if this is actually what Viper was planning on. A little bit of NASCAR tactics here with the bump drafting. Hopefully we don't see anyone's back end come out of it. But Viper with the amazing launch.
Side.
It's a drag race, like you said, coming down towards the bus-up chicane. Viper around the outside, Presidio on the inside. And now Presidio holds on to P4. Viper just couldn't defend off Presidio there as they almost made contact. But it looks like Presidio, he's hit with a time penalty for corner cutting. So it looks like he actually cut the exit there around the bus stop chicane and will now have to serve a ½ second time penalty. And that's going to give Viper the easy overtake back up to P4.
Now, if I was any of these racers, okay, and I knew that I had pace versus the guy ahead of me, because I'm seeing this a lot, or I'm actually not really seeing enough of this. Why not stay behind your opponent? Save your tires, save your fuel on such a fast track.
Yeah, I think that could be the right call.
Towards the end, make your move. This is Daytona, baby. This is NASCAR's turf. So why not use some NASCAR tactics?
Well, imagine if we actually have Porsche stock cars. As we see Viper actually go on the grass, Presidio squeezes in between both Viper and Cannoli. Cannoli looking to go around the outside of Viper. Viper with the dive bomb on the inside. A little bit of contact between him and Presidio. Viper moves up to P4. Joey Cannoli made the move up to P5. Presidio, unfortunate with the contact, moves down to P6. That might go down with the stewards at the end of this race. But Viper now back up to P4. A little bit of an aggressive move, but looks like everyone came out unscathed with the contact. But like you said as well, I think that'll be the better call here. In normal tracks, you wouldn't want to stay behind someone in corners, especially because you will actually have your tires work double time. But with this track, where you have a lot of straights, a lot of speed, very fast corners as well, this kind of makes it a little bit of an exception, would you say?
It would. It really would. I mean, because obviously, I'm going to hark back to Laguna Seca last week. You don't want to stay behind someone and try to save fuel or whatever, because it's kind of a condensed track in a sense. You got a lot of twisty turns. You have that corkscrew. You don't really have many high-speed sections except for the stretch to the start-finish line and just after it. So, with Daytona consistent, looks like I would estimate, 60% of it's just flat out. Use that to your advantage. Stay behind your opponent and team up or do whatever. I mean, I'm kind of curious if we're going to see, different teams helping each other out to move up towards the front of the pack and potentially catch Badass.
Well, we're gonna have to wait and see. But so far, Badass with an amazing start. But that just makes you question as well the strategy of these drivers. We actually saw in qualifying those set of softs didn't really last as long as a lot of drivers would have wanted. So I think we could suspect these drivers to be on a little bit of a harder compound, potentially even the hards. As we now see Joey Cannoli with an amazing launch is going to be the repetitive of Hypre and RWB. Viper defending on the inside, but we have Wooly! Wooly has spun up on the exit, is able to rejoin, and a little bit of contact. He did not rejoin safely, should have waited. And that could be huge side pod, maybe even engine damage for ART Wooly as he now goes down to P10. And bumped in the rear, and there he goes again.
Oh,
and one person I'm
That
actually
is
seeing going past, looks like G-Man actually had an engine failure there. His car is actually smoking from the exhaust.
alright, well, back to the action here. Average Viper dropping down to 6. We now have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-car battle for 3rd place.
And we could potentially see 6 as with the drivers ahead of them battling out, as we now see Green and Viper that could actually add Venom into the frame and make it a 6-way battle. But let's see. As you can see, all of these all 6 technically of these drivers coming down towards Sector 3. Who would you say would be in the best sort of situation here?
Well, certainly it's not Wooly. Wooly had just went way out past turn 1, but I'd say someone in the best situation at the moment, it's actually going to be all the drivers behind Joey Cannoli. Joey has nobody ahead of him. He cannot use anyone's slipstream, and that's just going to eat away at his fuel. Colin, meanwhile, is less than a half a second away from Joey Cannoli. And then Presidio, and then you've got now a battle between Viper, Green, and Venom.
Yeah, you can
so
see.
It's hard to say who is really benefiting at the moment.
Well, we're actually also looking at a few battles near the back as well. We saw Carbon Boy and J-Rod, but we're now also seeing Chevy and Robo Sport, one of the drivers that you were actually looking at during qualifying for a good result here, as they all have themselves a little bit of a glitch fest around these corners. But we're now looking at Green getting right ahead of Venom, and there's a huge shunt by Green on Viper. Viper was able to hold on to the crash, move up to P6. Green now moved down to P8, mistimed the braking zone completely for him. And so far, those drivers are still out there on the track. Colin as well, getting a good battle to Joey Cannoli. But one person that we haven't really talked about that much, actually, Cody, is going to be Tatted Free, currently with the fastest lap, and is actually catching up to Badass in the lead.
Yeah, he is slowly but surely starting to catch up to Badass here. I am seeing he gained every bit just a half a second in that sector on Badass.
Oh, and I think we could be potentially getting another fastest lap. Joey Cannoli is currently faster than the fastest lap by around 6/10 here, as he has been clocking in his previous lap at 146.9, now up 4/10. We could be seeing the first 145 lap of the race, and Joey Cannoli only has a few more corners to set that sort of time. Now at the bust-up chicane, Colin right on the tail end could be getting hit with a time penalty as he brings in a little bit of grass. Joey Cannoli actually losing a lot of time there at that chicane. But let's see if he's going to come out with the fastest lap here. Of course, with the fastest lap here, ladies and gentlemen, these drivers will be getting an extra point, and that could be crucial points for the championship. As he now approaches the line.
Look.
Just misses out on it. That chicane really messed him up, but he's still putting in some very consistent.
Big shot by
Colin
and Presidio Dog rear-ending Colin.
And
Presidio
then
Dog receiving a 2-second penalty for that shunt.
of course, very difficult to know the braking zones into these corners, especially with these cars like this, because as time goes on, as the tires start to get eaten up, as well as the fuel load getting a little bit lighter, you need to use those braking zones as earlier as possible just to ensure them. But Presidio will now be hit with a swift punishment of 2 seconds, and that could be moving him bound past green as well once he serves that.
It could, and I'm gonna go back on the question that you had asked me about the driver benefiting. I am going to redact my statement saying Joey is not, because right now he is about 4.5 seconds ahead of Viper. With all the fighting going on between 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and now 8th, that's allowed Joey to pull away.
And he won't actually be getting the benefits of fuel, but the thing is, do you think he's going for a different move? But there goes Colin into the grass as, oh wow, what happened there? Did you see what happened?
It looked like he was going through that bus stop. He just caught a little bit of grass, and it just caused his car to just turn into a lawnmower, essentially. I mean, just the car just craving some grass, and
oh, and it looks like
come up with.
And one thing I just saw, it looks like Presidio was then hit with another half a second time penalty for corner cutting. So that really is, and I think that's one thing with these cars that is pretty. It's like Thanos from Endgame. It's inevitable where with these cars at a track like this makes it very difficult to stay within the track limits, and especially with corners like the bus stop chicane. You also have the corners right here in sector 1 and 2, where it's very easy to actually go off the track limits, get hit with the time penalty from the stewards. But another thing as well with it is that these cars have that top end speed. If you only lose half a tenth, yeah, you can make that up very quickly, but in Presidio's case, 2.5 seconds, that's going to be a tougher break on him to try and catch that back up, as Viper actually has a little bit of a shaky wobble coming out towards turn 9.
Yep, and as we are going in, we are about 15 minutes in, folks, of the 60-minute race, so I'm going to go down the grid order here. Badass leading, he has led the race since the very beginning, and looks to keep that lead extending.
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut you off here. I'm sorry to cut you off here, Cody, but Average Viper has had an incident. He is squeezing Presidio around the outside. Carbon Boy actually hit the wall in the exit there. I just saw that on the display of the map on the top right, and from what it looked like, Average Viper got a little bit of the grass under braking, gonna make his car a little bit more slippery coming into the braking zone. Now from P4 moves down to P7, and that is a major loss for the High Pre driver.
That is now, it's gonna be interesting to see how he catches back up to the pack, because now he's got Presidio to deal with.
And them two have been battling out the entire race practically.
It's been virtually all race long. It's been crazy.
Oh, but we're also seeing Green and Venom actually have themselves a good battle for P4. And one thing that you got to say actually is that with Green, of course, given the name, with a beautifully green gradient Porsche car, if they go on the grass, you can actually potentially lose the car, as the camouflage is actually pretty close around the same color palette. Would you say?
I'd say so. I mean, that's going to be Green's last intention. Green does not want to go into that green grass.
And I don't think any of these drivers would want to, neither.
No, but I think the thing is with Green, though, if he gets to the grass, we will have to call in a search party, get a couple helicopters, and, you know, thermal optics, or whatever they call it, to locate them.
I think another easier way could actually be just him honking the car, but I think I think with you actually, if anyone's deaf actually, yeah, those thermal optics would definitely be handy. Of course, with the security cameras here as well, here at the Daytona International Speedway, I think we could be seeing some drivers being lost out here. But one thing about the Daytona International Speedway actually here, Cody, when like in the early days of NASCAR, where they didn't have the safety precautions that we have here today, if you've seen the cars like this into those sort of corners where the track would be a lot more dusty, a lot more sandy and dirty, it's going to be losing a lot of time for these cars. But also, if they go over that railing without that fence there could be huge consequences. So good thing to see over the years, ever since Daytona was first built, just shows how much motorsports has actually changed since then, where it's becoming a lot more of a safer sport.
It is a great thing to see, especially in more recent years, with a lot of safety features that have been put into place.
And it doesn't even have to be on the track as well. It could be in the cars. It could be with the racing suit. Of course, one thing about NASCAR here at Daytona, since the huge upsetting casualty of Dale Earnhardt, NASCAR has actually prohibited that drivers would actually use a neck brace under the helmet to withstand the impact of whiplash and to prevent something like that ever happening again.
Yep, and ooh, I'm on board here with Carbon Boy. He got real loose through the bus stop. He's getting ready to catch Viper, and he just come up short.
Well, one person that's not coming up short whatsoever. Look at the gap between Green and Venom, closing the gap here. Now within 2/10, is Green gonna try and make a move? Looks like he is. He's looking on the inside
risky.
here.
Oh,
he backs out of it.
Smart move.
Very smart move, yeah. Because if you battle out with him at this point, that's when they get Presidio, Viper, Carbon Boy, and as well as Colin an opportunity to catch back up and make it an even tougher situation for you. And plus, you kind of want to utilize, like you said, being behind someone to help you with the slipstream, help you with the fuel consumption, because these Porsches, as we saw at Laguna Seca, drivers making multiple pit stops, with 2 or 3 pit stops actually at Laguna Seca in some cases. So a lot of these drivers looking to make the one-stop work, and we actually are nearing the halfway point of the race here, Cody. And honestly, an amazing start for all of these drivers. Not one of them yet to make a pit stop, though.
No, and I am studying all the fuel gauges here. Everybody is doing a really good job of conserving their fuel.
They're doing an exceptional job. But of course, we actually saw a recent new post hitter. But one person I am seeing actually is going to be Viper and Carbon Boy. I don't know what it is with Viper going side to side at this bus stop chicane, but it looks like he has a little bit of an itch to scratch with a lot of that those battles with that chicane. And he's able to actually do pretty well in most of them. Of course, some of them hitting a little bit of the grass, spinning off. Where we actually saw Colin a few laps ago in the earlier laps. I believe it was around lap 3 or 4 where we saw him spin.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here. Let's take a look at P4. Green getting a heck of a run on Venom. Looked like he was going to pass him right at the start-finish line, but yet again has decided to just play it safe.
But this is actually a very good play here from Green. Green now knows that he has the pace. He knows that he has the pace against Venom. And if we actually flash back, because both of these drivers are actually in the 3rd division of the World Cup and GT Champions. If we flash back to that, Green was in like, no offense to him, he was in no sort of position to battle out with Venom, who was battling a 4-way battle for the Drivers' Championship in the World Cup 3rd division. And Green in the in GT Sport just looked like he was struggling a lot. Now he is here for the Porsche Cup with vengeance. He's trying to get in that resurgence back into GT Champions and into Gran Turismo. And so far, here at the Daytona road course, doing a heck of a job, would you say?
Oh yeah, doing one fabulous job with the pace that he's been setting. It's going to be interesting, the last part of the race. I can't wait to see what he's going to do.
Oh, I'm seeing a spin on the field actually near the back of the grid. Is going to be Robbo, as he's now been overtaken by J-Rod and Wooly, and is now in last place. And one thing I am seeing actually, as we are nearing to the halfway point, I'm actually going to let you guys see back at home. The tire wear is, with these cars, you would suspect the front wheels to give out, but it's actually the rears that give out more of the age. And it's kind of not what you would think with these cars, would you say, Cody? Because with this car being a seriously understeery car, especially with it having a heavier rear end, they actually struggle to put on the front end. But it looks like these cars are actually built for this track here at Daytona. So I think I have to retract my statement from the beginning of the race. No one is actually going to be struggling here.
No, and I mean, the only reason it would struggle would be, you know, due to that real finicky penalty line at the bus stop. I am seeing penalties left and right. Robbo coming in, first car to come into the pits. That's
Robbo?
Be an interesting call. Yeah, sitting at P14, he's ever been about a minute and 5 seconds back from Badass.
Where we're gonna actually test out to see how long the pit stop time is here at Daytona. Of course, a little bit of a different pit strategy than what you would see at NASCAR. Instead of only 4 pit crew, is actually 8, making it double the time in NASCAR, where you would actually have 2 tire carriers and 2 tire changers, where they would do one side of the car first and then instantly move to the other side. So double the pit crew. And it's gonna be interesting to see how the pit strategy actually plays into the strategy of these drivers, and a little bit of a different pit exit, would you say, than normal?
That was, and it looks to me, yeah, Badass is gonna end up lapping Robbo. So that is a very lengthy pit stop. That's every bit a 40-second pit.
I actually don't believe he will, actually. Of course, Badass with the lighter car, but I believe Robbo is actually pulling away a little bit. We're gonna have to wait and see if the blue flags will be respected, but Robbo is driving away, and if Badass is able to stay within that second 10th gap, this is gonna help him like serious amounts, as now in the lead, he can actually go on a longer stint using the slipstream off of Robbo.
Yeah, and I just got to thinking about that. If Badass was smart, which, I mean, you know, leading all 16 laps so far, I would say he is, I'd tuck in right behind Robbo and use that to my advantage.
Well, let's see how long that advantage will be held on to. But now we're actually seeing that Venom has actually pulled away from Green, and now Green is starting to battle out with Presidio and Carbon Boy for P5. Presidio with an amazing launch on the exit. He's going to try and recreate the overtake that he did on Average Viper. Now on Green on the inside, and he's able to get the job done. Hopefully to stay within track limits this time. Oh, and there goes Carbon Boy!
Carbon Boy!
Too much throttle oversteering on the exit of the bus stop chicane as he slides into the runoff area on the grass, and will now turn into a lawnmower Black & Decker. There you go, my friend. Just put on some razors at the bottom of that car, and that grass will be taken care of as quick as possible. Imagine those with Formula 1 cars. You'll have a whole field of grass like this cut in like about, what, like 5 minutes?
Oh yeah, yeah. Not even that, I'd say negative 5 minutes with how fast they go. But it looks to me like Badass has lapped Robbo.
He has, so Robbo unfortunately had to yield and gives the position to Badass. But one thing I am seeing in the background here, actually, Cody, you might have called it here, as the sun looks like it's starting to come up. I'm starting to see a little bit of yellow, and we could have a little bit of a sunrise. And Cody, let's put out the beach chairs, This is going to be a very romantic end to this race for you and I.
It is. We'll bring out the beach chairs and
We'll
I'll
get the
bring out
towels.
the towels, some adult beverages, and we'll just watch the sunrise. It'll be great for us, but it'll be catastrophic for the other drivers, especially since that glare is going to be blinding them throughout, I'd say, about half of the track.
And you gotta say one thing about this game, about Gran Turismo. Actually, a fun fact about Gran Turismo, Cody, I'm not too sure if you actually knew this. Sony, who of course owns the rights of PlayStation and actually owns PlayStation, they're actually making a Gran Turismo TV show, actually.
See, I had heard about that, but I really didn't do any kind of research on it.
Well, it's only, so far from what I've looked up, it's only in the talks for the time being, but it looks like it could be very promising. I actually was looking up on the groups of Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of people surprisingly were actually against the idea. But if you really think about it, look at the racing movies that we have seen over the years, where it's all about a prospect trying to build themselves up to be one of the greatest drivers in the world. We've seen that with biographies of Michael Schumacher from Formula 1, by Jeff Gordon in NASCAR. We've also seen some from MotoGP riders as well as the startup. And we're still seeing it here today as well, where we actually saw a few youngsters of Joey Logano making that step up to NASCAR for the number 20. And we also actually saw in Formula 1 now, with Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc battling out for the championship, and a lot of people are actually reflecting it back to their karting days. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a very, very good show, in my opinion, from what I've been sold. But now, Cody, we can start singing the song, my friend. Here comes the sun, do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun, and I'd say, I mean, we'll be alright, but the drivers will be in utter pain if they don't have shaders.
Oh my goodness, will they? They will be in so much pain.
But now we have surpassed the halfway point of the race, actually, ladies and gentlemen. So we're actually going to take a little bit of a commercial break. We're going to be hearing about Hypre, actually, about what they do. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be right back after. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again. Thank you guys so much for queuing in, and thank you so much to both RWB, but as you just saw on your screen, Hypre, who, if you guys didn't know, is a Mexican-based esports team, where their members actually have experience in the real-life racing scenarios when it comes down to FIA administration, photography, coaching, everything of the sort, and of course real life racing. Special thanks to them for the graphics, as it makes it an easier job for us in the commentary booth, but as well make it a more visually pleasing experience for you guys back at home. So a big shout out to them. If you want to know about all about High Pre, please make your way to Instagram and Twitter at HY_PRIX. Give them a follow and turn on their notifications so you'll be notified every single time they post an update about all of their racers, all of the community. But as you can see, Cody, you actually said it earlier, the sun is bright out, and we're actually going to go on board with Badass to actually see how bad that glare is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I had noticed here, it looked like we had quite a few people go ahead and pit for new tires and some fuel. So that's going to bump Joey up into second, Venom third, Green fourth, Tattoo fifth, Presidio sixth.
Oh, and I'm looking at the glare right now. The sun is bright and shining. But the thing as well, as Badass is actually struggling a little bit down towards turn 1. As I was going to say, as the sun comes up, the heat of the track is going to be getting hotter and hotter, and we could be seeing a lot of drivers start to struggle on their set of compounds, as in those cooler conditions they can go harder on the tires because they don't have to worry about that sort of temperature change. But now with the sun out, it's going to be a little bit of a quicker stint on these sort of tires. So we could be seeing, if they started on a set of mediums, we could be seeing drivers go on a set of softs to end this race.
Yeah, and I've been on board here with Badass this whole lap, and you can just tell. I mean, he is getting into the part where the sun's really going to be hitting that track, really going to be hitting the cars, and may create issues trying to figure out where to turn, when to brake, and what have you.
Oh, and I'm actually looking at it just then. I actually had to put my hand over my face. The glare was so much on the camera lens there. And that just goes to show that these drivers, even in the sort of conditions, a lot of drivers struggle under the pressure of the nighttime races, and especially making that transition also in today where the eyes are starting to dilute and try to adjust to the light. You can tell that all of these drivers are set and ready for any sort of conditions. Even if it starts raining right now, I'm telling you, these drivers will be ready for it.
They will. They absolutely will. And I'm amazed to see Badass still hasn't pit for new tires and for some fuel.
Well, let's actually see how his tires are actually doing as you talk about him. And from what it looks like, as I said earlier, those rear ends are really starting to struggle as he tries to find the grip, and even on the front end of the car you can see a little bit of wear, and as the fuel load gets a little bit lighter, the front end's going to be getting a little bit lighter, so those tires are going to be working a little bit harder trying to keep that car planted on the concrete. But one thing that we actually said, that you actually said back at Laguna Seca, which is actually being represented here today as well, it's whoever's gonna win this race isn't only gonna be out of pure pace, but whoever makes the least mistakes. And so far, the people that have made the most mistakes, I believe, has actually been Presidio, but he's been doing a pretty good resurgence, up to P5 now, proving why he is leading the drivers' championship and gotten that second that second place place. What am I trying to say? Second place podium finish at Laguna Seca.
Oh yeah, but looking at, let's see, yeah, Presidio, I mean, he's on fresh medium tires, half a tank of fuel. I think that's going to help big time in the long run, because if I look at Tattoo pretty much took a full tank of fuel with some medium tires. Which is
to be honest with you, I'd rather actually be in Tatted Freak's position, mainly because with it actually being a heavier fuel load, you don't have to worry about fuel saving or any of that. but also you're gonna have a little bit of a heavier front end, so those tires don't have to work as hard to keep planted on the ground. And same goes with the aerodynamic package as well. You want a little bit more fuel to keep that front end down and not have any sort of understeer. And I think it's gonna show here as Tata Freak is actually starting to pull away from Presidio and is able to go a little bit harder on those tires, as he knows he has the weight for it. But one person that's going to be struggling on the half fuel is going to be Joey Cannoli, and Tata Freak now makes his way into the podium positions as both Venom and Badass enter the pit lane. I think we could be seeing a close exit here from Badass. I'm not too sure if Tata Freak is going to be leading it, but he's now coming around the second oval towards the finish line to start a new lap, lap 23, I do believe, for the man, which he is. Badass is starting to come out of the pit lane now on a new set of softs, so he is really going to find the grip in all of these corners. With 20 minutes left to go, Tata Freak is now behind Badass, and Badass now leading the race by just over 9 seconds on a set of softs, mind you, is going to be very beneficial for him.
Yeah, especially not taking a fuel, because, you know, I do get what you're saying there with having fuel and, you know, more fuel in the car and fresh tires. At the same time, that situation is kind of like a double-edged sword, because a lot of times you also, if you want to switch to your softs, you don't want to take a full tank. You want the car to be lighter, which is what I think Badass is doing. He can set those faster lap times, which, I mean, Colin at the moment has the fastest lap at a 146.4. I could see Badass, you know, maybe creep into the 145s by the end of the race.
I think we could potentially see a, yeah, I think we could see a 145. I'm not going to say that we could see a 144, because in qualifying we actually didn't even we didn't see that sort of lap times. That's probably one that we actually saw in Division 1, and it's actually a little bit of a mystery for people back at home. But a lot of these drivers, there's 14 drivers out, and there's actually technically 15 drivers who participate in the races. But we actually made a little bit of a change to the grid, actually, to ensure that we actually have us commentators join in. And honestly, I love to see that that the drivers are actually willing to give up their place for us in making that sacrifice, just so people, you guys back at home, from GT Champions, also 12 Ounce Sports Network, even my own channel as well, just honestly, big hearts for everyone back at home. And a big heart for some of the drivers who are making sacrifices in the league to actually have us join in.
Oh yeah, so huge props, you know, to the ones that have allowed us to stream Division 2. Because, I mean, I've honestly been kind of waiting to stream Division 2 after hearing how good it's been and how intense it can be as well.
Exactly.
And speaking of which, let's go to position 5 here. We got a battle starting to set up between Carbon Boy and Venom.
Yeah, we're actually currently on the passenger side of Venom. Our camera controls actually trying to fight against the G-forces, just to keep that camera facing the correct way, and that just shows how much these drivers are actually fighting against the elements. Their necks and their arms and legs trying to fight against those G-forces, especially with an understeery car like this, as you can see around the oval, a little bit of porpoising with the cars as they jump up and down with the downforce. You gotta say, these drivers, like, a lot of people don't really look at drivers as being like very fit people, but the thing is, they are seriously strong, fighting against G-forces like close to up to 5 Gs, and that is difficult to do. That is like, you will fall to the floor. Like, these drivers have done they got the strength, they got the mental strength as well to keep themselves on the track, keep control of the car, put those hands on that wheel, and take turn after turn after turn, as we now see Venom. And I can tell you right here, especially with a car like this, probably hitting around 3.4, 3.3 Gs into turn 1.
Yeah, and looking at Venom here, Venom is starting to gain on Carbon Boy from the looks of it. Oh, well, yeah, about 1/10 of a second there.
Well, we're actually going to go on board with Carbon Boy, actually, and you can actually see that the drivers have a little bit of a setup. They actually have all of those panels on the right to do sort of different commands with the car when it comes down to the ignition, to the what's it called, to the gear shifts, the brake balance, the traction control on the car. Also, when it even comes to, of course, the slight button that does like the windshield. But one thing that you'll actually see above that with these cars is that they actually have a little bit of a rear camera monitor, a little small television screen to just ensure that they actually don't have to look in the mirrors, they don't have to stretch their neck so far. They can just look to the right and they will see the camera right there, out of the way of their view of the track as well, so they're not really losing any sort of sight. You also have a little bit of a cooling wind. As you can see, this tube right on the dashboard gives these drivers a little bit of a cooler temperature, keep themselves focused. They're not going to be sweating. I mean, they will be sweating regardless, but they won't be hitting those high temperatures where they'll be starting to get headaches, start to get heat strokes as well, which is pretty common in the previous years of racing. So a good one with that. And their suits completely filled to the brim of fireproof material. Kind of also like what stuntmen actually wear, where they have the racing suits. They have this.
Someone in the grass. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that.
Getting into the grass there at the bus stop.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that right there, right at the bus stop chicane. That's going to give Robbo the opportunity, but he actually crashes right into the wall on the exit there. So that's going to be huge scrapes of paint, and you can actually see that a lot of these drivers actually have quite a few scrapes of paint. Robbo on the front left of his bumper, now going to be completely smeared on the right side. Going to be seeing a little bit of a blue, white, and black paint on that oval there. But a lot of these drivers still giving it their all, even in these sort of conditions. But going back to what I was saying as well, where we also see we're actually going to be on board, as I say this, with Tata Freak and Cannoli having themselves a good battle.
Yep, I was getting ready to say it.
But with those fireproof materials, as Tadafree gets himself a time penalty, one thing that actually a lot of people don't really know is that stuntmen, where they actually light themselves on fire, they actually have this sort of like cream, almost like a Vaseline esque like texture to it, where it actually cools down the temperature if it's actually hit with a hot substance. So if I actually had control of that, we would have seen if I can hold a pot that was holding boiled water. But Joey Cannoli and Tata Freak having themselves a battle towards turn 1. Looked like Joey Cannoli was going to come out on top of there, but just gets a little bit too much of the grass on the inside and moves down to P3.
Ooh.
Wow. But actually, one person that actually improved on the fastest lap is going to be Colin once again, a 146.154. So doing an exceptional job to get those fastest laps. Will be bagging in an extra points if he finishes in the points. But one person that we're going to be watching for the end of this race is going to be Badass with an exceptional lead over 11 seconds. It's very commendable. Very, very commendable. Oh, but actually, one thing I should actually say, Cody, one thing I actually just remembered. We are here at Daytona in America, but there was some news that got enlightened back in Texas, where there was a shooting at a elementary school where there was 19 children killed and 2 adults. Here at GT Champions, we would like to give prayers as well as support to the families in these difficult times who have been affected. It's very, very difficult to see stuff like that. Very, very sad as well. Not what you want to open up a newspaper to see the headlines on. but I hope that all of the families get themselves closure as well. Hope everyone is doing okay in these troubling times as well. So big hearts for everyone that has been affected, and big hearts to Texas, who has been affected as well.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. So, yeah, I mean, on behalf of GT Champions, we do offer our condolences to the families with, you know, the lost loved ones.
Yeah, very, very upsetting to see, but we are now 10 minutes away, Cody. 10 minutes away. We have had 50 minutes of racing, and it's been enjoyable from the beginning until the end when it comes around. I'm now looking at a battle for P5. As you said, Carbon Boy and Venom has actually had this battle ever since they've made that pit stop. And you can actually also see Colin catching up, and with him getting fastest laps as well. He's gonna be a tough nut to crack into these corners.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Carbon Boy has been doing a fantastic job. I know he has some slip-ups, man, where he dropped dropped down towards the back of the pack, and has now recovered quite nicely, sitting in that 5th position. And I'm just, hopefully he can hold it off till the end. He's got about 9 minutes to go.
Well, let's see if he can. But one person that I think should be getting a pretty good shout out as well. Not only Carbon Boy has had a pretty good resurgence in this race, but Colin, Green, and as well as Presidio, if you do remember, got hit with so many time penalties in this race, hit with one now, had himself good battles with Average Viper, had good battles with Venom, Colin T, Carbon Boy. Presidio has been practically all over the grid having good battles, and just goes to show that even us commentators can put some skills out and show who's boss. But honestly, doing an exceptional job there for Presidio, representing RWB very, very well as Joey Cannoli, currently in the podium positions. You guys are going to be excited about that.
Yeah,
but
Tattoo going a little bit wide.
Oh, we'll go on him right now, actually.
Well, looks like he did recover quite nice. He lost about 0.6 of a second, though, between himself and Joey Cannoli.
Oh, but one thing I am actually starting to see here, look at the consistency here from Badass. When he exited out of the pit lane, he first said a 147.0, then a 146.8, then a 147.2, and then after that 2 147.3s. So he's doing an exceptional job to hold on to the pace, keep those consistent lap times. And it just goes to show that this man has really done his homework. The Canadian starting on pole position as well as ending it. He's technically, in racing terms, has actually done, if he wins this race, will have done a grand slam, as you would start in pole position, led every single lap of the race. The only thing that he's missing is the fastest lap for him to get that what is it called again? To get the Grand Slam, but I think that he could definitely be able to get it.
I think he could too. I mean, he's got about a quarter tank. Tires, they got a little bit of wear to them, but it's nothing horrible. I certainly think he's capable of setting that fastest lap, though, like you were saying. Another guy we should be giving props to in terms of sheer pace and consistency, it has to be Tattooed Free, sitting in 2nd place. Look at those numbers. 147s across the board.
Honestly, incredible to have that as well. He is going to be excited about that. And so far, from what it looks like, we could be seeing an Apex 1-2 here in the Porsche Cup. So their fans back at home are really going to be excited to hear that. And again, guys, as it's coming to the near end of the Porsche Cup, I want to thank you all for coming in, representing both GT Champions as well as 12 Ounce Sports Network. So again, thank you guys so much for queuing in, as we have just under 6 minutes left of racing. That's going to be around maybe 4 laps of the Daytona road course. And honestly, very, very enjoyable. But Cody, it's going to come down to you, my man. As it's coming down to the end of this race, who would you give potential driver of the day, or who would you be your nominees?
Alright, obviously it's gotta be Badass. But I also wanna give a shout out to Joey, Presidio, and Carbon Boy. They have overcome some stuff in the beginning. You know, from maybe getting into the grass or, you know, spinning out, what have you. They have recovered quite nice. Carbon Boy. And then Badass, obviously, I mean, my pick for driver of the day is Badass. Hands down, there's no one else. You know, having that awesome start in the beginning has led every single lap of the race, including coming out of the pits. There's no question, Justin. There's no question about it.
I'm gonna have to agree with you here, man. A lot of these drivers having their home race here at Daytona. However, it's going to be a Canadian who will be getting driver of the day for GT Champions, presented by RWB Racing, as well as presented by and powered by Hypre. Go look us up, gtchampions.com, for stats and info on the league. For Hypre as well as GT Champions, go look us up on Facebook, Instagram. For GT Champions, we are also on Twitter, and honestly love to see it. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for GT Champions, hashtag GT Champions. For Hypre, it is on both Twitter and Instagram, at HY_PRIX. Don't forget to follow the pages and keep that notification bell on so you're notified every single time we make a post about updates on the drivers, updates on the teams, and even future collaborations. But
Yes.
love to see everything. Love it.
I do too. And also, don't forget to check out RWB Racing on Facebook and Twitter. Give us a like, give us a follow. If you're interested in maybe joining the team or participating in some events that we hold, come visit our group on Facebook, RWB Racing, the red, white, and blue.
Exactly. And also, if you guys want to participate in GT Champions as well, potentially in the next race, or if you actually would like to reserve in the Porsche Cup, please make your way to gtchampions.com, where you'll be seeing the Discord link, and you'll be joining right in there. Get yourself signed up. You can interact both with me and Cody if you want to get to know us a little bit better. But honestly, do any of the sort, and we will love you forever as GT Champions. I'm going to mark this right down right now. Again, I did say it last week at Laguna Seca. I'm going to say it again. Clip this, share this,
hold on.
do everything.
Sorry to interrupt. Overtaking Carbon Boy. Carbon Boy got a little bit loose there in the grass, allowing Venom to overtake him for fifth.
Ooh, I'm actually looking at it now. Yeah, Venom has made the overtake. Unfortunately that we won't be able to see the instant replay of the overtake, but if you guys want to see highlights, please make your way down to GT Champions. We could be actually implementing a little bit of a highlights reel, and if you guys do, we'll actually be posting them on Twitter, Instagram. Same goes with Hypre if it involves us as well. So honestly, that is why you'll be seeing highlights, you'll be seeing fun facts, info, statistics, all of the sorts. So again, guys, thank you so much. We now have less than 2 minutes left of racing, and Carbon Boy is hit with a time penalty. That's going to give Colin the opportunity to move up to P6, and now with Badass crossing the line to start a new lap, I think this might be the last lap of the race. I am not too sure, but Carbon Boy now hit with the time penalty. Colin around the outside. Colin moved up to P6. Carbon Boy just got unfortunate with the time penalty. Lost 2 positions in 1 lap, and is not the way you want to end a race. But Venom, as I say that, Venom has spotted collision with Colin as well on the rejoin. Now that could be giving Carbon Boy the opportunity to move back up, as Colin is now looking at damage on the front bumper as he makes his way around. A lot of scratches on that Porsche. Huge upset on the final lap.
Oh no. And I bet Venom has to be absolutely gutted. at this point.
Oh man, he would have been. He's gonna be absolutely gutted, like he was at the GTC World Cup Tier 3, where he just missed out of the championship as well. Of course, as it was the commentator, of course I have to bring that up. Like, come on now. It was enjoyable. If you guys want to see that, go to GT Champions on YouTube. It's the World Cup at the Le Mans track in the Renault RS01. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to now go back up with Badass, who is now going to be crossing the line. He's going to be starting a new lap here. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The race has ended. This is going to be Badass's final lap, as Tatted Freak is starting to reach the finish line. He's going to finish in second place, with Joey Cannoli finishing off the podium. Badass has actually a little bit of a victory lap here around the Daytona International Speedway race course. And honestly, very, very commendable. Badass led the race from the start until the end. Didn't get the Grand Slam, just missed out on that fastest lap, but honestly, he is going to be excited. Very, very excited, as it's an Apex 1-2, RWB 3-4, and 5. Honestly, very commendable for all of the drivers. We also now see Venom Viper crossing the line. My man at High Pre did an exceptional job finishing in the points. Green as well did a very good job at the beginning of the race. Then we have Chevy, J-Rod, and Wooly finishing off in P10 to 11 and 12. And getting the checker flag. Amazing, amazing what we have just witnessed.
Oh my gosh, what a race. What a race.
And I got a comment as well in the chat. Apex Jakey says, GG's my boys, let's get it, Apex Racing, love to see it. But Badass now coming around the oval for the final time, did an exceptional job. He's gonna be screaming back at home. Honestly, extraordinary, as he now takes the checker flag, takes the race win with an extra lap under his belt, stuffed it right in his pocket, as he'll be taking the top step on the podium. What a race. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back after a little bit. We're going to be getting interviews with the podium, so don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from the race winners themselves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after a very, very eventful race. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We surely enjoyed it, Cody, in the comms box. Cody, for you, how would you explain this race in a few simple words?
Penalties, grass. That those are the only three words I would describe it. I swear, I think everybody got a penalty besides ass. And if you weren't getting penalties, someone had clipped the grass and spun out.
Well, we're actually going to be hearing from the podium drivers here tonight. We got all three of them here, ladies and gentlemen. But, of course, we are going to be starting it off with Joey Cannoli finishing in P3. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Cannoli, welcome to the podium, my man.
Thank you very much.
How happy are you with your performance today?
I'm extremely happy. I didn't expect to be here, so I don't have a speech prepared. But my strategy was just to stay out of the grass and drive slow and steady, and that seemed to have worked out.
No, I'm gonna ask you all the same question here. But when it was starting off daytime and then near the middle of the race, we saw it go into the bright sunny days as we're singing in the comms box. Here comes the sun. How much of that glare really impacted your race?
Well, for me, it did. As soon as it changed over at the bus stop there, that chicane, it's just all of a sudden I couldn't see exactly where I was braking before, and that's the time that I actually spun out and lost it. So for me, yeah, I couldn't see the chicane as well.
All right, and Cupcake, do you have any questions for our third place finalist?
No, not really. You kind of summed it up there. Yeah, I mean that was one heck of a job, Joey.
Thanks. Fun race.
It was a lot of fun.
All right, well, for you, Joey, as you finished off on the podium, do you have anyone back at home that'll be rooting for you, or you have any shout-outs for anyone back at home?
No, I'm the only one that watches these for my friends and family. So I'll just tell them the position I ended up in. Thanks.
Well, there you go. Congratulations again on your third place finish, Joey Cannoli. Hope to see you back next week, and honestly, good luck next week, my man. Now,
Thanks,
ladies and gentlemen, we will be hearing it from our second place finisher. I've been saying his name wrong from World Cup, and again here today, instead of Tatted Freak, it is Tattooed Freak, here representing Apex. How you doing, my man?
I'm good.
And again, same question for you. How did that glare impact your race at all, or were you able to fight against the light rays?
You know, for me, I don't think it really caused too many problems. A lot of my braking points going to the bus stop are on the track, so I was able to see them pretty much the entire race.
Well, honestly, did an exceptional job. You've been having battles all over the field. Which battle would you say really caught you off guard the most?
I guess, today with Joey Cannoli, he made up quite a bit of time. I had a decent gap on him. He undercut me in the pit stop, came out in front of me. I think he had a slight mistake in the bus stop, which allowed me to pass him. And then I was just trying to put time on him, but he kept gaining. And then again in turn one, when we got kind of close there, I don't know exactly what happened, but he ended up hitting the inside wall again or something, and I was able to put a few seconds between us and then hold that.
Well, honestly, did an exceptional job. Cody, got any questions for our second place finisher?
No, not really. I mean, Tattooed, I mean, you had a very consistent race, staying real comfortable in that second position. So, I mean, your actions spoke for everything. So, I mean, really good race on your part.
Thank you.
And now, what's it called for you? Do you have anyone back at home that you want to give a quick shout out to? Any teams? Anyone back at home?
Of course, I want to say what's up to and thank all my guys at Apex Racing. Um, it's a team effort, a lot of practice, a lot of help, a lot of getting together and running laps. High Pre, he's sponsoring us this season, which I completely am 100% grateful for. And from that point forward, we got Ghost Viper Gaming, or not Ghost Viper Gaming, GT45 Gaming, and also OFR Race League.
Well, we are happy to have you with us at High Pre as well. Oh my God, I gotta continue saying tattooed. I have tatted stuck in my head now. I'm so sorry. But with you finishing on the podium, I'm gonna be watching this back. So honestly, I'm gonna be having that stuck in my head now. But honestly, big congratulations again for you. I hope you really enjoyed it. You did an exceptional job. But now, ladies and gentlemen, our race winner here tonight with an extra lap under his belt, came home in pole position, ended off in the same place with the race win, took the top step on the podium, led the race at one point by over 30 seconds. Badass. What an exceptional race you have had, my man. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Pretty good. That was a good race. I managed to keep the penalties under wrap. I didn't get a single one. I just took it easy through that chicane and pulled.
No, honestly, you had an exceptional lead at one point. As I said, 30 seconds. You were so close to having, in racing terms, the Grand Slam, where you had the fastest lap, pole position, and led every single race until the end. Just missed out.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was saying just missed out by half a second off of Colin. But honestly, you gotta be proud of your performance here today. And same question for you as well. That glare impacted us in the comms box. How did it impact you?
Not at all. I didn't even notice when everyone was talking about it. I really didn't even notice any difference, to be honest.
You were just so zoned in that you just focused on the concrete and nothing else.
Focused on breaking points and apexes and just kept it going.
Now I got one more question for you actually before I move it on to Cody. With the Porsche 911 here at the Daytona International Speedway, where you were last week at the Laguna Seca WeatherTech circuit, the front tires were the ones that really aided out the most. But it looks like at this track it was actually the rear tires actually. Were you actually expecting this sort of result coming here at Daytona today?
I actually expected Freak to take home #1 here today. But yes, the tires were completely different than the last race. The last race, front tires were gone. This race, rear tires were absolutely destroyed.
Well, you were able to manage against all of that, and honestly, again, for me, congratulations. Cody, do you have any questions for our race winner here today?
You know what? I do, because I got a bone to pick with you. You led the race from start to finish, that's great. You qualified pole, that's great. You had one extra lap and you didn't do any kind of celebrations. What the heck is up with that? Couldn't see any spinning, sliding across the line.
I should have, you know what? I should have, but now, see, in my league, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed no donuts or anything coming across the finish line. It's just the way it is, just in case anything were to happen, cause an accident or something along those lines. So that's just something that we don't do, and that's what I'm programmed to do. But if I do, if this happens again, I will gladly do some donuts for you guys and stuff like that for you.
In all seriousness, though, I mean, you ran one heck of a race. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen that dominant of a performance. Especially with those 45 second pit stops. You still came out in first. So, you did one heck of a job. So, congrats on that first place finish.
Thank you very much.
And the same question for you, my man. you have anyone back at home you want to give a quick shout out to?
Not so much home, but Apex Racing, Apex Racing Team, OFR League, High Pre. Thank you for all the amazing decals that they've been putting out. Presidio for running this. He's a little crazy. He's a little bit crazy for picking the car, but it's all good. It's all good. And obviously Freak and Jake, the two other heads of state of Apex, and you guys for the commentating. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you as well, my man. We surely enjoyed it. Jakey was actually in the chat as well, saying great job to the Apex Racing team as well for the results. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the GT Champions Porsche Cup. Thank you guys so much for queuing in. Big shout out to RWB Racing as well as High Pre for presenting and sponsoring the GT Champions Porsche Cup. If you want to know all of the info and stats of today's race and the rest of the season, please make your way down to gtchampions.com for all of that juicy information, and go follow all of us from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Discord. A big shout out as well to 12 Ounce Sports Network for for having our streams on there as well. So thank you guys so much, and again, welcoming all of those beautiful viewers back at home. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from me. That's going to be it from Cody. Unless Cody, you have any words for everyone back at home?
To the people that have tuned in, thank you so much for watching this race. It means a lot to us. It allows us to keep loving what we do with commentating, and everybody stay safe.
And from me, lots of love and stay safe, everybody.